Hey everyone, Uncensored match build-up time with me, poor mate Chid, with Dan Clubb and the only man without a Christmas jumper, bar humbug Chris Pajak.
Not Christmas Pajak, is it? Clearly.
Fuck Christmas Pajak.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, get your thoughts ahead of the game in the comments section, along underneath wherever it is on your device. What team do you think Jürgen is going to go with? Before we start chatting through his options, here is the gaffer in his pre-match press conference talking about the injuries to a number of key Liverpool stars.
No, I don't know the exact, but it doesn't look good. That's something we can say. Maybe the scan is not done yet, so we don't know exactly. But it's not great. So it was from the first minute, second, it was clear. I spoke to him and said, no, that's not good. But how long? I don't know.
Dave, last one for breakout.
He was running yesterday outside on his birthday, and everything goes in the right direction. But nobody told me he will be back in team training today. So now there's still some time. And with Ali, the same. Obviously, Ali is closer, but not available for tomorrow, definitely.
Hey, yes, welcome, Jürgen Klopp. Obviously not a great prognosis in some instances, slightly better in others. I think we knew well ahead of this one, Dan, that obviously Alisson wasn't going to be available. Encouraging to know that Jota's at least outside running, which was something I was a little kind of taken aback by that in the press conference, because the question was asked very like, well, obviously Jota's out for a while. He was like, no, he's outside running. I was like, oh, okay, well, could we have led with that, Jürgen? It's great to know that the LFC Foundation was doing really well, which is what they kicked off the press conference with. But I really, first of all, tell me who's fit and available, then maybe by all means talk about the good work that the Foundation's doing. And it does great work, by the way. Yeah. We've got a decent shape of that. The Matip stuff we were just chatting about it there while that was playing. Months, not weeks. It's bad news for someone with, his contract expired in the summer.
Yeah. No, of course it is. Yeah, I think nobody really expected him to be getting a new deal anyway, but this injury probably has put pay to any hope of that, I would say. And it's a shame because he's been in brilliant form. I think a lot of people had question marks over him coming into the season, but he's been absolutely outstanding. I think all the centre-halves, including Joel Quantum in that conversation, have been brilliant. Whether it changes plans when it comes to January is a different question. It might mean we have to fast forward something that we wanted to do in the summer instead to replace Joel Matip. That might have to come forward a touch, but I think we've got every faith that Quansah can sort of step up and sort of cover some of those minutes, but whether he's ready for Matip-esque minutes is a different question, because at times this season Matip's been the chosen one to play alongside Van Dijk, so it's a difficult one to sort of to balance out. But yeah, it's a shame, big blow if it is to be the end of his Liverpool career. It's not the way he deserves to go out, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, I was joking before, hopefully, there's like one last hurrah for him in the run-in, whatever that might look like. Just before we crack on, Ethsham Ul-Hassan asks a very important question in the comments here. He says, Paul, where can we find your jumper that you're wearing? Looks awesome. And Dan, well, you can find Dan right here. You can find the awesome jumper he's wearing on redmenmerch.com. We've got a wide array, and in particular the Trent Christmas sweatshirt there, which is going absolutely gangbusters at the moment. So yeah, grab yourself one of them while you can. They're all the sweatshirts are all print to order, so you've got another week or so left to sort them out. But the knitted jumper, which is what I'm wearing, live that one whilst you can. Should we just chat about the defensive thing, Chris? You were talking about it to us just then. Liverpool, I think, will have a centre-half option lined up, because I think they were clearly looking at one in the summer. Is this push the button on one kind of situation now with Matip?
It depends, doesn't it, on how important or how ready, Joel Quansah is to step up. Obviously, Klopp's spoken in the past about not blocking the pathway for youngsters into the first team. Obviously, for me, is in this scenario, is this man here, Joe Gomez, because he's actually your centre-half cover. Right now, he's your left-back cover and he's your right-back cover. That could cause issue. That is a major issue for us. Obviously, we've got the likes of Conor Bradley coming back and stuff like that. So he could maybe step up. Is he really ready to step up into what we think could end up being a title race? Probably not. So I think with Joe Gomez, obviously, covering for those three, Konate's had his injury issues, Quansah's still a young lad. I think Liverpool probably would need to move into the market. Now, what type of a player is that going to be? Is it going to be a centre-half? Or is it going to be a full-back who can maybe play left and right to cover? Who knows? But it wouldn't surprise me if it was a versatile player who they thought could play in multiple positions, because that's what Jurgen has kind of done over the last few years in so many different ways, haven't we? We've become used to seeing the likes of Kurt Jones play in the six, play on the wing, Gakpo. He loves versatile players. Joe Gomez, a classic example. Trent Alexander-Arnold, an example. He's literally versatile in games and stuff. So yeah, I think Liverpool will have to move for somebody, and it's unfortunate that I think probably Matip may well have played his last game for Liverpool Football Club.
Not sticking around like a bad smell then, Chris, now.
Well,
jinxed him.
I did, didn't I? I feel really bad, to be honest, because I've loved Joel Matip. But the best thing about Joel Matip is if he does get fit, he's so used to coming back from injury. He doesn't take time to warm up.
Yeah.
He just comes in at the level that he left at.
It's just, yeah, it's sad. And I think the annoying thing, just kind of to go a bit Shankly and how all injured players are basically dead too. Yeah, it's a bit annoying that he's been the first choice, Dan, for me, because his contract's up at the end of the season, and I don't know whether this is obviously circumstantial with Gomez being used in other places, with just building at the start of a season and fighting on multiple fronts. But Konate is the one. Konate should be the first choice partner for Van Dijk. I think he'd reached the point in his career where he should be that, but that becomes a negative, because unless there are outside circumstances like trying to protect Konate and making sure that he can have a run of games due to fitness, then it's not ideal. I'd rather be losing Matip when he was third or fourth choice centre half than when he's the main guy.
100%, yeah, completely agree with you. I think in terms of sort of ability and of course ceiling at this stage in their respective careers, it is Konate, and we all feel like it's Konate, especially with Trent wandering into midfield. It's always felt more suited to Konate's attributes to be that guy then who's left there having to cover the right back because of his physicality, because of his fitness levels in terms of his ability to get across and deal with it. But yeah, I agree. I think losing Matip when he is sort of in such fine form is a big blow, but I've always felt like it's a meritocracy at Liverpool, of course it is, and Konate's not been able to sort of nail down his place because he can't nail down his fitness. He can't play 10-15 games on the spin, so every time he drops out, and I think you're right, I think we are now being very, very careful in terms of how we use him, because we know we can't get 10-15 more games out of him, so we're having to sort of take him out the firing line more often than we'd like. But you've got to credit Joel Matip for that, because every time he stepped into the breach in Konate's absence, he's gone, I'm not just here to fill in for that lad, I'm here to keep the space. And he's earned the shirt 2 or 3 times now already this season, and it's a big blow to lose him. I really think it is, especially at such a crucial stage of the season. We all know how hectic this schedule's going to be. We're into our third game, or will be 4 game in 9 days, I think, at the minute. So it's a chaotic schedule. I think it's asking a lot of some lads in particular who we know have got sketchy fitness records at best.
Yeah, I think we might go deeper on this on the podcast next week, but I think we're in a fortunate position going into January that it looks, whenever you lose players in long term, you do start to get worried about it. But I think Quanta's interested, and I think Conor Bradley adds into this conversation as well, because I think we're in a fortunate position that you could solve this problem by buying 3 or 4 different types of footballer. You could solve it by buying a centre-back, you could solve it by buying a left-back, you could solve it by buying a right-back, and you could solve it by buying a 6. And, and because we've got a variety of footballers who can do things, so, we'll have a few weeks, hope they'll have a little look at what's around, because as with any of them, you could buy a right back or a left back, and that makes Gomez a more readily available centre half, and that kind of solves you that issue to some extent. If you buy a 6, and that means Trent playing more right back, and then that means you don't have to use Gomez as right back as much, and maybe if Conor Bradley comes through, he solves a bit of those issues, and so on and so forth. So yeah, they've got a little bit of flexibility. We'll talk about the game again in a second. Jonesy Lada sends a super chat in and says, ideal defensive January signing?
Inacio for me still. Plays left back, left footed centre half. I think he's perfect for the bill that we need right now. But you are right in terms of the options. I think Liverpool do have options. What we should say as well on this, and it ties in with the question as well, is Liverpool have a track record now of sort of pushing the button when they feel like it's necessary. We did it with Gakpo, we did it with Diaz, so it wouldn't shock me at all if we did it again.
Yeah, and it's whether that is that, I can't just buy 2 players in January. But I wonder whether it's, people say, why isn't Andre boxed? Why isn't Andre boxed? And this is why you don't get signings done super, super early, because so many things can happen. The landscape can change. Yeah, Chris, any ideas who your ideal January signing?
I think Inácio is a good shout. Thinking Cape, Leverkusen is it? Is obviously a good shout as well. Obviously, he can play centre half and the left back position as well. So yeah, those would be the two names on my list.
Great, yeah, I agree. Dan Whitehead says top show, sexy jumpers of the Reds.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Appreciate that. M&S special. 3 years ago, still looks brand new. It's quality.
James Lim, who's been a member for 34 months, says Nunes to bag 2 in a 4-0 win. So it's interesting, I mentioned that this is the game where Liverpool play mad, always put a mad 11 out at this game every season, because this is the midweek Premier League game that gets chucked in, and so we've put some mad teams out in the past. We're 2 minutes away from knowing with absolute confirmation what ours is going to be, but we'll see. Matthias Hansen has sent a super chat in, says, what if Liverpool know Matip won't play again this season, so they delist him in January, so we have 2 spots for non-English players and buy a DM and a centre-back? Am I right in saying even if we delisted him, that'd only be 1? Because aren't we
saved one, didn't we?
Did we?
We saved one, yeah.
So what? So was it only Europe that's the issue? Because Adrian's not registered.
Different list in Europe.
Got it. So we even if we delisted Matip, it wouldn't necessarily it would free one up, I guess, in Europe, but you keep okay, yeah, it's fine.
If we one up in Europe, but 2 in the Premier League.
Got it. Yeah, that is it wouldn't shock me if Liverpool did something smart like that, to be perfectly honest. But then the last time they didn't register footballers.
They were ready.
Oxen Nabby, absolutely ready to play. Yeah, the Liverpool medical department had some strongly worded emails around the first few months of last season, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm looking forward to, because I was thinking about this selection-wise. We don't want to take this lightly, but also, are Sheffield United better than Toulouse, Lask, Leicester? Are all the teams we've played in midweek are arguably stronger than Sheffield United? So I wouldn't be surprised if Liverpool did a mad thing this one, but also we just can't afford to take our eyes off the ball. And with Sheffield United in an awkward situation, do you just want to go and absolutely bully them? Right, go on, Chris, what have we got? Okay, so by the looks of things, we've got Queven Kelleher in goal, Joe Gomez playing left back, Virgil van Dijk, Canate, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Endo, McAllister comes in for Kurt Jones with Endo behind, Soboslai, Gakpo moves into that number 9 position, and Diaz is playing on the left-hand side, and I haven't looked at the substitutes yet. Okay, do you want me to read them to you?
Yes, please.
Adrian?
Yes.
Pitaluga?
Okay. He's here, yeah, we got him.
He's definitely there somewhere.
Yeah. Darwin?
Yeah.
Curtis?
Yeah.
Harvey?
Yeah.
Costas?
Yeah.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Jarell?
Yeah.
And Connor.
Okay, so no Gordon. Sounds
no,
okay, so there you go. Obviously the big talking point here is Enzo and McAllister starting in the midfield with Soboslai. Probably you would suggest the 2 number 8s that Liverpool had in mind for this season before the start of it. Obviously McAllister's wrapped up so early. Soboslai, I'm pretty excited. It was Luton, wasn't it, where McAllister played in the 8 and it wasn't good, or was that
Toulouse?
It was that Luton, Gomez at left back?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that didn't work out well.
No.
Unfortunately for us. So, yeah, obviously big goal at the weekend for McAllister. He looks happy already, doesn't he, to be in the 8? He's got a big smile on his face. Endo's made up as well. Dom's not too impressed by his 2 midfield partners, but these 2 look happy, and I'm happy. And the interesting thing here is, Endo deserves this start, doesn't he, for the performances that he's put in every time he's pulled the shirt on. And obviously, the interesting thing here is, obviously, Gakpo coming in for Darwin Nunes, Diaz playing off that left-hand side, Salah off the right-hand side. That could be a really interesting team to play Sheffield United. And just on your point about Sheffield United, they have got that new manager bounce. We know that Wilder's back in there now, and that could be
Does it count if he's an old manager?
Yeah, it's just a little bounce.
An old manager bounce.
Yeah, I think we went through this bouncing thing the other day.
We did the permutations on the bounce on the podcast.
I think everybody knows exactly what we're talking about now, Paul.
Yeah, really, really good. By my reckoning, that's 5 changes from the last game. Anyone want to?
Gomez, Canate, Endo, Gakpo. That's it, is it? I think that's it.
Gomez, Konate,
Endo, Gakpo.
Endo, McAllister technically.
But different position.
Yeah.
Yeah. Started the game.
And Gakpo. Cool. Yeah. But again, Liverpool rotating, and again, we said this before, when you look at those midweek teams, doesn't look like a rotated team. If you weren't, at a glance, you wouldn't think that was bad. It's only when you realise, again, Gomez left back, McAllister playing in the 8, which shouldn't be a problem, of course, and obviously Gakpo restored. Yeah. Let's see a comment here on Darwin Núñez, just basically keeping him as an impact sub's probably not the worst idea. I'm here for that. I think this is one of those games, Dan, where Sheffield United are going to put everything behind the ball here and look to shut us out. Whereas Darwin's not got the space to impact the game in the same way, but him actually coming on and just being a physical nuisance. And maybe we did this with Origi when we beat them there 1-0 in the title winning season. Having him come on to go forward up front or whatever, if we need to chase it late on, is no bad thing.
No, it's not at all, no. And I think we've all waxed lyrical in different shows over the course of the season about just the ridiculous amount of firepower we do have, and it shouldn't shock us when one of them is on the bench, because that's going to happen time and time again. Cody Gakpo will feel aggrieved to have been on the bench recently. He was brilliant in Europe just last week. But I actually think the balance of the front line is really interesting, because Chris mentioned there in passing how Gomez at left back didn't work at all at Luton. I think that just made us too narrow, because it was Jota doing the left wing role there. I wonder whether a front three of Gakpo, Núñez and Salah, which probably would have been Gakpo on the left, would have also been very narrow. Yeah. So at least you're getting your natural width with someone like Diaz. And also, we have to sort of factor in the fact that sports scientists play such a big part in this type of selection thing, especially when the schedule is so hectic like it is at the moment. But I am surprised, like some McAllister's playing, I must admit, I felt like he needed a rest potentially, and Diaz likewise. But I do think that might come down to that balance, like I say, because if you've got two lads both on the left-hand side, both wanting to cut in on the right all the time, you've got no width at all.
Any chance that this is not this formation, Chris?
No, not really. I don't think so. I can't imagine why we would change it at this point of the season.
Just that, what I mean by that is, there's okay, Szoboszlai is not a front three player as such, but there is something to making it a double pivot and just having more lads further up the pitch potentially, something like that.
You get rest though, don't you?
Or you move, again, it's McAllister further forward. I don't think it will necessarily be anything wild, but
yeah, I mean, me and Josh did a deep dive show on Trent Alexander-Arnold. Is it time for Trent to play permanently in the middle of the park after the Fulham game and stuff? Yesterday, it's really interesting. You probably have time to go and watch it actually between this show and the match starting. And one of those things that we spoke about during the show is that since Liverpool moved to this formation, we've scored 5 more points than anybody else in the Premier League. Arsenal were like 10 points behind us since we changed to this formation. Manchester City, albeit had 1 game less played, were 5 points behind us. So if they won it, they were 2 points behind us, which is kind of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it sort of thing. And that's what we were talking about with Trent playing as a centre midfielder out and out. But it kind of makes sense in this conversation as well, doesn't it? It's been working for us. We get a second look at what that means when you go to the actual 3 at the back with Joe Gomez there. Trent goes there, and then you get your box midfield. But interestingly, one of the things that I've noticed over the course of the last couple of weeks, and certainly it was the last European game, we went to a point where that's how we entered the box. So Gakpo dropped in and made the 4 in the middle of the park here, and these 2 were then to go like that. So there are different ways for us to get in and out of this box midfield at the moment, and it feels to me like as we go along and learn more about this formation, how teams are going to defend us, Liverpool are going to have multiple ways to dominate in the centre of the park with the players that they've got on the field.
Amazing. Before we crack on, we have got a prize to give away. Those of you who've joined as a Legend tier subscriber over on redmenplus.com, we're giving away a Liverpool themed prize every single day from the 1st of December all the way up to Christmas Day. Given that it's now the 6th, we're coming up on the end of the first week, but still so many cool things. Tonight, it is one of our Liverpool 5 Man United 0 mugs. This is one that's been kicking around the office. It won't be this one. this is
unless you want it to be.
That one.
Yeah, unless you really want it to be. This is a very well loved,
very
well loved version of this mug. But yeah,
so they don't come with the coffee stains on the inside.
Yeah, needs a health warning, that one.
Yeah, absolutely. We need to send some of our staff for to do a breakfast shift at the tavern, Chris, as my general thoughts on the tea stains in the bottom of things. But anyway, you will be sent a clean version of that mug. Right, we're going to spin it now.
Wait, not just clean, a new one.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be an old one that's been cleaned
What are you doing? What are you doing? Right, spin the wheel. Le Chill! Hey, round of applause for Le Chill, everyone. You are going to get a definitely clean, probably brand new version of that mug. Thank you so much. Congratulations. And if you want to grab yourself one of our incredible mugs, of course, you can just go to redmenmerch.com and pick one up now. There's a whole array of them celebrating the successes. There's a lot of Liverpool beating Manchester United mugs, is what I'd say, straight off the bat. So if you live in an area...
We need them a lot nowadays, though, don't we?
Honestly, yeah, maybe, there might be a new one, who knows, in the coming weeks. But if you work in an environment where you're surrounded by Mancs and you just want to shine them on, then go to redmenmerch.com and have a little fondle around. There's loads more to come. I believe we've got a we've got a graphic. We're going to be doing a double draw on the Crystal Palace match preview show.
Double draw.
I don't know why the time's different on that. Why is one at 10:30 and one's at 12:15?
Keep people in suspense. I don't know.
Double draw on the 8th, one on the 9th. So we've got a signed copy of Spice Up Your Life, the book by Jonathan Asphy, to come. And we've got some soccer stars to give away. There's a Jack Designs poster, Beers Manfield Road beer mats. We've already given away a Lucas Leiva signed captain's armband, which is very, very good. And we've got a Dare Kite signed shirt coming very, very soon, and an Ibu Kanate signed shirt as well. So plenty of time to get yourself in some boss prize, as well as all the amazing content. To go to redmenplus.com, join as a legend tier subscriber, and get your name on the wheel of names. Right, just lastly then, Dan, how are we feeling? Positive around things?
Yeah, very positive around things, actually. I noticed while Chris was talking a moment ago that on the graphic Liverpool have put out, Salah isn't playing right wing, because obviously it always goes in a certain order.
Oh, yeah. Chris is a big proponent of this.
Salah's playing left wing on that graphic, and Diaz is right. So it might be an error. It might be a clever. I'm feeling confident, mate. I think there's obviously factors. When all the ingredients are there, aren't they, for a difficult night's work for Liverpool, when you consider the fact that it is Chris Wilder back in situ. Liverpool's record at newly promoted teams away from home is absolutely abysmal. It's midweek, all the bad stuff, essentially. But yeah, I think Liverpool get the job done, and get the job done quite easily here, I'd like to say.
Yeah, just look at their starting 11 quickly. Fotheringham at Bogle, Robinson, Jack Robinson back, Ahmedozic, nailed it. Trusty, who I reckon should be quite good. Yeah. Brooks, Sousa, McAtee, Archer and Osula. I am very wary of this, Chris, because of the Luton game for us, but also the Luton game for Arsenal last night, that these games can be absolutely wild, and we could really do with just getting this one put to bed as short thrift as possible.
They absolutely can be wild, but I actually think the Arsenal result last night will help us, because if nothing else, it keeps us honest. If they were to draw that game, it puts more pressure on you, whereas Liverpool know they just need to go out and need to do the business properly, and they need to get the win. So yeah, I'm okay with it. I've made my peace with Arsenal winning last night, because it does keep us honest.
Yeah, and of course, Man City to go there at the weekend and obviously drop points. Sound, thank you so much for everyone who's joined us for this show. Drop a like on the stream if you did, in fact, like it. And even if you didn't do it, it makes you a good person. We will be back with the watch along in a little bit. So obviously, make sure you also subscribe and click that notification bell. And if you want to fill your boots, either watch Chris's deep dive show or head to redmenmerch.com or join up on redmenplus.com and get your name in the hat for some amazing Liverpool themed goodies for the rest of this festive period. Ta-da. Thank you so very, very much for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. The season is now well underway. If you need extra Redmen content, be it podcast, videos, documentaries, interviews, and general shows, fill your boots on redmenplus.com today.